This is the second tutorial on the blues in F, and it's in reference to Billie's bounce. In the first tutorial I talked about chromaticism and ornamentation, and also outlining dominant seventh chords with some dissonance, flat nines, and then I did put in a sharp nine. Then I talked about the diminished and the altered scale, so I'm just going to go over that again at the start of this tutorial. The diminished scale is a scale that has a series of semitones and tones. So when you use it with a dominant seventh scale, such as in the dominant of F, which is C, it starts with a C, then you go half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole, half step. And the altered scale is also useful, and that fits dominant seventh sharp 9. And that starts off the same as the diminished scale, so half, whole, half, and then all whole tones. And for that reason it's sometimes called half diminished, half whole tone. It's also the 7th degree of the melodic minor scale. Whoops. That was in fact the correct scale, so we're starting on this one. Sometimes it's difficult to remember a scale if you've been playing it from the 7th degree, because you start to hear that as the tonic rather than the D flat in that case. So that's the altered scale. So I'm just going to play a couple of phrases using the diminished scale, going from chord 5 to chord 1. And the altered scale, which as I said sounds very similar. And that was the altered scale. Exercise 5 is the Lydian dominant scale, and I just suggested maybe you'd like to use that one. I've put it here on chord 4, you could use it on chord 1. And the Lydian dominant sounds like this. Dominant because it's got the flat 7, Lydian because it's got the natural 4th, which when we write it in a chord symbol we call it the sharp 11. So I'm going to do an improvisation using lots of sharp 11s, using the Lydian dominant on every chord. It's a little bit quirky and a little bit dissonant, and might remind you of the pianist Thelonious Monk. It is actually quite a fun scale to use. Probably not best to use it on every single dominant seventh, but that was just to demonstrate what it does. You can also use the Bebop scale. Bebop scale is just a major scale with flat 7 and natural 7. So here's a Bebop scale on F. And essentially it just sounds chromatic at the end, so I'll just do a little bit of improvising on that. So exercise 6 is a bebop lick over 2-5-1. 2-5-1 going to chord 4, so that's C minor 7, F7 flat 9, B flat 7. And that occurs when we go to the 5th bar. So I'll just play the sequence to show you where it occurs. Here. And the lick that could work over that, I've just written a nice little bebop idea. In the last 5 bars of the blues, the sequence goes 6, 2, 5, 1. In fact, if you had the last 6 bars of the blues, it would be 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. And then right at the end, you've got the same sequence again, 6, 2, 5, 1, but it comes in half bars rather than whole bars, so it just feels like it's coming closer together. I'm just going to play what I've written there. So I'm starting from chord 6. That was quite slow. I'm going to do it more in a bebop style, which would be faster. I'll start from the previous bar, which is chord 1. So this is the last 6 bars of the blues. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's quite tricky, and I haven't actually. It's freshly composed, and I haven't quite got my fingers around the lick. I'm just going to try that one more time. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so having some set ideas is a really good way to start playing the more bebop style blues. Obviously, you'd have to play it in different keys if you're on a different instrument, the piano, such as a tenor sax or a trumpet. But you should have that written out on a PDF, which is downloadable from my website, andreavicari.com. And that's tutorial 2 on playing the blues on Billie's Bounce, and in the next tutorial I'm going to look a little bit more at the harmony.